Welcome to the Women in Digital Dentistry podcast, where we empower through innovation. I'm Allison Lacoussiere, your host, and each week we'll explore the mindset and the skill set of creating a successful practice and life for women in business. From the latest in dental technology to mastering marketing strategies, creating team synergy, cultivating a powerful money mindset, this podcast is your resource to empower yourself and your team to have the most success possible. Whether you're an established business professional or just beginning your journey, we're here to help you unlock your full potential, lead with confidence, and have an incredible journey along the way. Welcome to the Women in Digital Dentistry podcast. Welcome to another episode of Women in Digital Dentistry. I am here with Dr. Parul Makkar, and I am so excited to dive into the expertise, the experience, and the wisdom that this incredible guest has in store for us. Welcome to the show, Parul.
Thank you so much for having me, Allison. I'm so excited to be a part of this community.
We're so excited. We're so excited to welcome you as a board member in 2025. As a leader for women in digital dentistry and just a leader in our industry. And you and I have had the privilege of being on a few podcasts together. And I'm not going to lie, every time we podcast together, I cry. So today I was like, waterproof makeup.
Oh gosh. I promise I will try not to today.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Honestly, you have changed my life, and I know you have changed the lives of so many people, which is why I love you so much. And I just believe so strongly in your mission and what you're doing in our industry. So let me share your bio, and then I would love for you to share a little bit of your story, and then we're going to dig. So Dr. Parul Makkar is a general dentist based in Long Island and an owner of PDM Family Dental. She earned her DDS from the University of Oklahoma and has been practicing since 2003. With experience in both Canada and New York, life changed when she lost her younger brother, Dr. Manu Dua, to oral cancer. Since then, she's made it her mission to raise awareness about oral cancer through education, speaking, writing, coaching, and a new course that she's actually just launched for full team and practice implementation. She has won several awards in dentistry and has co-authored Life Interrupted, Dr. Dua's survival guide, a heartfelt book inspired by her brother's journey. She serves on a few boards, coaches healthcare professionals on grief, and loves connecting with people about wellness and prevention. So welcome, Parul. I love you. I get to spend a lot of time with you, and it's always such a joy and pleasure. And we have the privilege of being from the same city, and both of us have gone to live in the USA for the men of our dreams. So we have that in common.
The men who drag us out of the cold.
Yeah, exactly.
To the warmth. Yeah.
So yeah, I would love to share, just tell us a little bit more about your story and kind of the things that you're working on today in our industry. You are all over the North America speaking, writing articles, one of the most inspiring people I know.
Oh, thank you. Sometimes, you get that imposter syndrome, am I really making a difference? But thank you for validating. So my story is I was happy little dentist in my little dental bubble and started a startup practice in 2018. I worked for a heavy Medicaid practice in Queens, in New York, and I knew that this was not what I wanted. I knew my soul would die. Forget being, for those listening, and if you ever feel stuck, I knew this is not what I wanted. It was something I'd inherited through marriage. It was my father-in-law's practice, and as he retired, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to start afresh. And I did. I built a startup, and it's not for the faint-hearted. And right after the startup, COVID happened, 2020 happened. And with that, life changed for so many people. And in 2019, actually, my brother, my younger and only sibling, who had become a dentist, would help me build my practice, designed because he built his practice earlier than mine in Calgary. And so he's like, you've got kids, I'll help you. And he helped me with every little thing. And, he had his first surgery. We were all okay. COVID happened. And in 2021, he passed. And my world fell apart in the sense, there's some things that you take so for granted. You're going to outlive your younger sibling. you know you're going to have more family members. Life is going to have all these different celebrations. And you take that so for granted that tomorrow's promised. And that was just such a life-altering tragedy. And he passed very suddenly, and I couldn't make it in time. I knew he was going, and like a video call like this, COVID had shut down the borders between US and Canada. He was immunocompromised. The world was very different. And you needed a 3D PCR testing. You couldn't just fly. Canada had a lot of restrictions, and so you needed a COVID compassion release signed from the government of Canada to even enter the border. And anyway, craziness. And I said goodbye to him, and I said, you're done fighting. You're done. You need to let go. He was at the morphine trip at this point, and I knew he passed the night before I was taking the flight. He passed Sunday night. I flew Monday morning. So I knew going that I'm planning a funeral at this point. My parents were distraught. And because I've grown up in different parts of the world, I didn't have this village protecting me as a buffer from the grief. It was just in your face, raw, stripped of every emotion, stripped of family because my parents lived in a different country. I had to come back and, get back into groove of things back over again with my startup practice. And, it's like when you welcome a new life, you're given maternity leave. You're given 9 months to prepare. With death, there is no bereavement leave. There is no excitement. It is life being altered. You are losing a family member, so the rules of life or things that people play in your life are now diminished, right? You have one less person. It just throws off balance, and you don't get to like hold in that grief and process it while you're having to still show up, especially as healthcare providers, where you're kind of empty and you have to show up, and somebody else's pain may seem insignificant because you're drowning in it. And that's how I felt. And I was like, this is not a great space for me. I still have kids. My husband's like, I need you back. And in that process, I started finding people, um, and in turn helping, because where I needed help, I found the help, and I'm like, it's a way to be forward. So I started talking about oral cancer. Here was a dentist who was diagnosed with a late diagnosis, and it was missed, and he lost his life. A 34-year-old who lost his life. This shouldn't be the reality. And I'm like, okay, that has changed. And I started educating on oral cancer. I got a keynote, ADA's, the American Dental Association's first oral cancer summit. Got to be a wellness ambassador and talk about it across US and Canada, of being raw and sharing Manu's journey, like how devastating it is and how painful it is and what we do matters. And also on sharing about grief, that it is not a journey that we need to travel alone. And that's kind of where my path led me after losing Manu.
Oh gosh, again, like, and as you know, we were just actually talking about it before we got on the call. My little brother is my video editor for my podcast, and truly every time I get off a call with you and we talk about this, I have 3 brothers. I go and like call them and I tell them how much I love them, because I can't imagine losing a brother. I can't. So my heart goes out to you. And just, I know I've said this to you before, but it's what you've done with that devastation is just so inspiring to me. Like, you took something so traumatic and sad and horrible, and then you took it and you just quickly serve others, help others. Like, it's just such a testament to me of who you are as somebody who's like, I just went through like the hard thing in my whole entire life, and now how do I help others? And I'm so glad that we have you in the world to be able to educate, because so much of this is about awareness and screening. Like, so much of this, if we could have caught this sooner, and I bet so many people say that.
Yeah. The what ifs, could ifs, right? You cannot change what happened yesterday. It's just not possible that you can hope for a better tomorrow. And, it's just like this was missed. And I think grief harbors in our body, trauma harbors in our body, and it manifests in disease or depression. And I saw it firsthand with my dad. Um, and for the listeners, my dad was healthy, traveled the world, came back from an international trip, and never had a cardiac issue. Died of he went into cardiac arrest on the American Thanksgiving, and I was just processing. I'm like, what do you mean he's on a ventilator? I'm talking to the hospitalist, and he literally died within the day of having a cardiac arrest. And here I was, my body knew this trauma so well. Here's another international flight, US to Canada, in an emergency, to plan another funeral. And now I have to sit and do this alone. And that's the thing about having siblings. It's not a loss you talk about a lot because you know your parents are going to leave. That's just the rule of life. But your sibling is kind of like somebody who walks alongside you. And then to be stripped of that and then sitting at the funeral table and there's nobody to share that stories with. So life takes you with unpredictable turns and it's just what you make of it. It's like, I take this analogy of healing the healers. I take this analogy. If you're stuck in a road with a flat tire, you have three choices. You can either stay stuck there and woe is me, look what bad luck I had. I ran into that nail and I'm just going to stay here. Or two, you learn to fix it yourself. And you're like, nope, I'm going to fix this tire. I'm going to learn it. And so I'm prepared. So if this happens, I can do it. And three, you call somebody to help you and not be afraid to ask for help. So you always have choices in life and you just have to make the one that serves you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's so interesting some of the work that I did with my own self in the last year or so, which was really like it was very eye-opening for me. It was like this concept that like the mountain in front of you is to serve you in some way. And it's like how does loss serve you? Like how could you ever like think that or say that? But looking at your example of how like you took something so tragic and then you started to help so many people because of that. Like in some ways there was a gift inside of that experience that like it really is changing the dental industry. You've hosted a summit, you're speaking on stages, you have a full course to help implement this with ease so that more practices don't miss it. And
Right.
so it's like, it's really hard, I think, to even think about the gift in anything like that. But it's just you've done such a beautiful job of taking that pain and turning it into purpose. And again, like it's just such a testament of who you are.
Thank you. Yeah, when I was traveling through, and I think it's like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You see what's working and what's not working. And in my cancer journey, watching from the sidelines, I felt there was a lack. It wasn't a lack, but it was like I had to really look for information different places. There wasn't like one place where you could get like, oh, you have cancer, this is what you should do. These are the steps. And I feel like there's that lack. And yes, we learn about it in dental school. Yes, you have to do a clinical exam. You learn it in hygiene school. Your assistant may or may not. But then that's it. And then you forget about it. And then you're not looking. And unfortunately, there's no certain ROI. There's not like, oh God, you're going to put an implant, it's going to be $5,000 or you're going to earn in a day. So it's like you have to realize that cancer is just not, oh yeah, you found a white lesion and go for a biopsy and that's the end of the story. It is a multidisciplinary approach, and it's not only for dentists, but collaboration with other medical professionals that enables us to move forward. It's learning what to do with a patient when they come into your office. They have taste alteration, they have saliva alteration, they can't open their mouth, and their caretaker needs to know how to take care of them. There's so many aspects to it, and that's what I felt there's a lack, and I just wanted something more cohesive and more comprehensive. And that's what the course was all about or is about.
Oh my gosh, I think that's so important to have that as well. Like I remember being an office manager and I remember like we learned about the veloscope at some point um in our journey into CE. But like as an office manager, I was like, okay, like what's the protocol here? Like how do we implement this in a way that actually like makes sense and we know each patient is getting screened and like there's no place for us one to like figure out like what does comprehensive oral cancer screening look like? What is the system? What's the protocol? How do we do this? How do I train my hygienist? How do I train my team on this? And then the second thing is, what do we do with the patients who come in who actually are going through cancer treatment? And I had a cancer society when I was living in Bermuda reach out and they're like, can you help us with this? And I was like, I don't know a lot, honestly. And so I think that's where you've pulled together all of these research, like you psychologists, nutritionists, like everyone in the industry to bring this together so that we can be more served in serving our patients.
Exactly. And patients don't always talk to the doctors. You may see them only for 5 minutes at a routine screening. So even when the assistants are taking x-rays and they may see something like that doesn't look right, that wasn't there, especially if they know the patient long term and they know there's a smoking history or some other risk factor. And then they're like, hey, I had my assistants come tell me, oh, that tooth looks, oh, on the PA I saw a lesion or something. So everybody, it's a group practice, and there's no I in team. We're all working together, and just like you would screen for airway or for braces, and oh yeah, you have crooked teeth, you're getting perio, just like anything else. This is kind of part of the whole patient care. And
Totally.
there's a person behind that tooth, and we're trying, or I'm trying to help doctors get back to that patient-centric care. Like, yes, we want the patient to return, and yes, make the patient feel seen and heard. That yeah, you do care about them. Yes, you're checking everything out and not pushing a high ticket item only. No.
100%. And the other thing that I talk about a lot is we as dental care professionals, your hygienist actually sees your patient more regularly than any other profession. So that's where you can notice things changing. Like we see when someone's not going through a really like they're going through a rough time, your hygienist sees it. Like they can sense it, they can feel it, they can see it in their mouth. And so especially when we're dealing with something that can grow so quickly and is
Yeah,
so important to notice soon, I think it's just imperative that we train our team on this. So
yeah. And even the front desk, because once the patient leaves the operatory and goes in the front to check out, they're like, oh, they referred me to so and so. Nobody wants to go to the oral surgeon so and so. The biopsy is a scary word, and they're scared of the word. They're scared they're meeting a new person, and there's all this anxiety. And it's just like, are they good? Do you think they take my insurance? What do you think when I should do this biopsy? Like they're asking these questions up in front. They're not asking this in the back.
uh,
Sometimes they're gonna ask the girl in the front, like when they're checking out, like, what do you think? I've got my kids' soccer practice. I'll do it after, or then I come back from vacation, and they'll try to push it. And it's like having that whole team approach, like, no, we saw something, we need to biopsy this because it is a fast spreading cancer. The lymph nodes are right here, it can spread. And once it's in the lymph, once you have a nodular involvement with cancer, it's quicker to spread or it will reoccur with a higher chances of that happening. So, yeah.
yeah, so important. Gosh, I'm gonna put the link to your information in the end of the show notes. So if anybody's interested in getting this training for their practice, please, please, please reach out to Parul. I want to switch gears a little bit and I want to talk about grief. As a coach, I get to hear grief like sometimes the first person when it comes to miscarriages, death in the family, trauma, like loss, like as a coach, I get to kind of face the forefront of it. And, I'm an executive coach. I'm trained to grow businesses, systemize, help with mindset, but I'm not trained in grief. And what I've learned from working with dozens of clients, when I see it on people's faces, when I see it in their body, like it, I even said this yesterday to one of my dear clients who's going through a really tough time. Like it feels like a presence. It's like this big presence in someone's life. And I am so happy now to know that you have been certified through grief coaching to be able to bring in your expertise with this. But what do you find helpful to work through grief, or what can you help our audience listen to? Because at some point, we all in our life experience it.
Absolutely. It's a part of life, right? Life and death. They go death and taxes. Can't get rid of them. But you're right. Grief does feel heavy. It definitely it affects everything. And I describe it as this burden. It doesn't lessen. Some days it's heavier than the others. There is no timeline of grief. And yeah, there are the 5 stages of grieving. We're all familiar with those. But you can be stuck in a stage, and you can go, and it doesn't go in that order. You can skip and come back to that same stage again. So there's really no timeline. It could be a song, a smell, a photograph, or something you hear somebody say, and you're like, oh yeah. And it brings back everything like it just happened yesterday. So when people say like, oh yeah, I lost my dad 10 years ago, it's been some time, but it still hurts. It'll always hurt because it's this, it's the grief, and you learn how to live with it. You just have to kind of think about it like, if you were to put a coin by your eye, right? When the coin's right by your eye, everything is blocked and all you see is this dark. But as time passes, the coin kind of moves away. The coin is still there, but it's a smaller part, and you've built this other life around it. So it's always there. It's always a part of you. It's always that ache there. So there is no like, oh, I need X amount of time. Oh, when are you going to get over it? Oh, it's been so many. I hate questions like that. God intended it. No, God didn't intend it. Those are not helpful. It's telling somebody, how can I support you? How can I be helpful? Whether it's taking care of the kids, whether it's taking care of the practice so that they can get some time, whether it is getting some things off the load, walk the dog, do something that enables. And it's just one of the biggest things I tell first to the grieving person is they have to be ready to accept the help, because you cannot push it on them. They have to be open and receptive to getting the help, just like anything else. It's like when you're drowning, you're like, yeah, you can throw out and say, I'm here to support you. Come reach out when you're ready.
Mhm.
I'm always here. And I think the important part about the grieving is like, yeah, you have the funeral and you have the flower scent and everything, and then it stops. And then comes the next holiday, and you feel all the emotions again. And people forget that though. So it's remembering that your person who's grieving still needs the support, even though it's been 5 months,
Mhm.
and still reaching out and saying, I'm here for you. You want to go for a walk? Are you ready to talk? I'm here. That's one of the biggest things is learning for them to accept, yes, I'm grieving. Yes, I need help. Help me. We'll meet you short. Um, and it's learning what you can do with your grief. In fact, it's choosing how you want to honor your loved one. And it doesn't have to be a book, and it doesn't have to be big. It could be planting a small garden. It could be anything. Like I had a patient one time come to me crying. She was late for the appointment. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, my parrot died. It's a
Mhm.
parrot. She's like, it's died. And animals are very, very special to people, especially if you've had them for a number of years. And she's like, my daughter played with it. She would fly around, and it choked and it died. I'm going to go cremate it. I'm like, what are you going to do with the ashes? She's like, I don't know. She's just completely distraught. And I said, okay, why don't you take the ashes, and then do you have a garden? Put it in the garden, and it's still serving. It's still bringing you happiness, and it's in a living thing, and it's going to bring you joy. And every time you look at that plant or that garden, you'll remember, and it'll be a happy memory. So it's just creating a way to you choose how you want to honor, and and people. I have somebody who's if they know they're trouble, that somebody's going to pass with a serious illness, long-term illness, and they're feeling that emotions of grief. They're like, we're grieving. The person's not even dead yet. We're still grieving, and it's anticipatory grief. You know it's coming. You just don't know when. I'm like, you know what you've been given? You've been given the gift of time. We
Mhm.
don't know what our tomorrow is going to hold. You could be walking down the street and get hurt. I mean, there's so many accidents and things that happen. And I'm like, you've been given the gift of time. Take this time to take the videos, take the messages, create some special memory with kids, and just honor the time that you've been given. And we'll worry about the grief later.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I think that you can provide us with such great like perspective and context and just awareness of what we need to be grateful for. What do you say your most precious commodity is?
Time.
Mhm.
It's money will come and go. Um, but time is something you cannot replace, you cannot return, you cannot refund, you cannot get back. That's it. We're given this amount of time. And we're not assured with how much time we're given. We can die the minute we're born, or we can live to be 100, or somewhere in between.
Yeah.
We're just not given that. It's such a precious gift. So really choose wisely who you spend time with what you're doing, that it gives you joy and purpose and brings you happiness.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, so, so important. Oh, Pearl, you were just a wealth of knowledge, of wisdom, of like I just like see you as like a sage of somebody who I'm just so happy to know and get to learn from all the time. And one of the things that I see so often, like as a woman in business, where you're a mom, a business owner, a wife, you're owning, running a practice, you have like the children in your practice who are your team, family. Like there's so much that you have to give. And it's thinking about like how after grief do you hold it all together and then give yourself the time that you need to just feel what you're feeling. And it's not easy for women because there's so many hats that you wear. Um, and so I hope that those listening to this give themselves, if they're going through anything right now, give themselves, I mean, you should tell them what you would want to hear.
Yeah, I would, yeah. And I think one of the things I learned in this process was if I didn't take care of myself, nobody else will. And it was a hard lesson to learn. And we learn these lessons at different points in our life. And but when that happened, and there are family obligations, and people are asking me in the family to do stuff, and I'm like, are you kidding? I'm not ready. And to show up, I said no, and that is a full sentence. No, I don't feel, and it's like, we've talked about energy, like what you walk in with. So if I don't feel happy about being in a space to celebrate somebody's good, not because I don't like them or anything. I'm just not in that space right now, especially in my early time right after mother's loss. I'm like, I can't be at a birthday celebration because I'm mourning, no more celebrations with my brother. And I'm like, I'm not going to come because I don't want to bring my negative into
Mhm.
more happiness. And so it's learning to recognize this, paying attention to you, the internal. It's a lot of internal work. Um, and I don't need a validation from anybody. I need it from me, like what makes me happy now. And so it's learning to say no. And it's the biggest thing is also if you're married or if you have a partner, is having the partner on board with you. It is so, so crucial. And I will always give credit to my husband because he's picked me off the floor, literally picked me off the floor in a fetal position, got me up. How many times he's found me crying in the bathroom, in the shower, like couldn't sleep at night and just held me because if he wasn't there, and if he wasn't there to say, no, she's not ready, we're not coming, or I'll come, she's going to stay back. If he wasn't there to support me in that journey, we would have not been together because it's so important for the people who you live with, whatever it is, to understand and to give you that space to heal. Because, and I tell him, I'm like, I'm not in that space. I will come back. I just need time. I just need an hour. I need to go for a walk. Nature helps. I need to go for a run, swimming, whatever gets your mind off of it, to just come back to you. And then you can, because you cannot show up for others if you're dead inside. And
Mhm.
so you have to take care of you and protect yourself.
Mhm.
No one else is going to do it if you don't honor you yourself.
Oh my gosh, I want that message to just be like embedded into people's bones, into their soul, into their entire being, because I really feel so strongly that this is a message that women especially need to hear, because we can sometimes overfunction, overperform, overgive, and it hurts us. And so if anybody who is going through anything right now, your own level of grief, your own just heartache or heartbreak, please reach out to Parul, reach out to me. We're here to support you. You're not alone. And that I think is very important to know, is that you're not alone. You have someone to talk to, and you're going to get through this.
Yeah.
So please.
Dentistry doesn't have to be alone, nor does grief.
Exactly, exactly. And both can feel very, very isolating. And in the room at our live events at Women in Digital Dentistry, there were conversations that were not about dentistry. They were about heartbreak and divorce and cancer diagnosis and child challenges and the real things that women in business go through. It's part of our life. And if we don't have anybody to talk to about it, we don't know that we can share. I think that isolation is part of the trauma. And
Mhm.
so if you're listening to this and you know of anybody that could hear this message or meet Parul, please send this podcast to them. Please go follow Parul on Instagram. It's Do a Good Job. And we'll leave all the links to connect with her in the show below. So, Parul, thank you. You always, again, like 3 times, I'm like trying not to cry. I just love you. I love everything that you're doing. I think it's so important, and I'm just so glad that we have you to be in our corner when we need you. So again, thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
Happy to help. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, and we will see you live at the Women in Digital
Yeah.
Dentistry live event in October. We're so excited to have that live event to connect really powerful, beautiful, incredible women and learn together, grow together. It's going to be such a fantastic event. So please go get your tickets, go follow Parul, and let us know what you think of this. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Women in Digital Dentistry. We hope you found today's discussion inspiring and full of actionable insights to help you thrive in your practice and beyond. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe so you never miss an update. And if you know someone who would benefit from these conversations, please share this podcast with them. We would love to hear your thoughts and feedback, so feel free to leave us a review or connect with us on social media. Together, we are building a powerful community of women leading the way in digital dentistry. Until next time, keep innovating, keep growing, and keep making a difference in the world of dentistry. Thanks for listening.